everybody, Prepper003 here today with another group threat video for SHTF and WROL. So this one's going to be a little bit different, and also something I know that a lot of us kind of think about as a threat, but it's not discussed a lot, and that is anti-preppers, or people who prepare to attack other preppers. And why do I consider them anti-preppers and not marauders or something like that? I consider them two different topics, because I see the people that most people think about as marauders are people that actually come about after an SHTF scenario happens. They're just your everyday non-prepper or person down the street who doesn't prep or prepare for anything, and then when an SHTF scenario does happen, they need supplies, they need to bring food, stuff back to their families, and the only way to do that is taking from those that have them. But the anti-prepper, on the other hand, is somebody who doesn't want to be self-reliant. He preps and prepares, but only up to a point, because the only thing he's preparing for is to attack other preppers and other people who are prepared for an SHTF scenario, or people who have stuff at hand that aren't preppers but still have necessary supplies, like a hospital, for example. So, as I said, they're not self-reliant. They just prep up to a point to where they're okay, like maybe 6 months for an example or something like that, to where they have the bases covered, but their main objective and their main prep and plan, if you will, is to go and take from others. So here's one of the reasons why I view them as a big threat. One, they're armed. They get out regularly and train, and for the most part they actually might have a quite a large-sized group. And they might not always advertise themselves as a anti-prepper or as somebody who's going out to attack people after an SHTF scenario happens, because they might not see that scenario ever happening. But if something does happen, they see that they have everything that they'll need to take from those that have it. And another thing with that, having that team, they might also have a pretty good amount of team coordination with that as well. So they could have ambushes down, raids down, assaults down, because a lot of that stuff is fairly basic, and it doesn't take a genius to buy a small unit tactics manual or two and read them, practice them, and get out and start implementing the stuff that's inside these manuals and inside the books, and learn and read and regularly try to understand what these books have and different types of things that can go on if something does go wrong. So like have a forward rendezvous, a rear rendezvous, for if they have to break contact, have a couple of different relay locations set up if they ever do get broken up, if they have to scatter or something like that, just as a few examples. Another thing is with being armed and being trained, they had the necessary gear, they had the necessary weaponry, like our friend Bob here, who's going to serve as our anti-prepper, if you will. He has firearms that make him a very capable threat. And he also has a fair amount of knowledge with that as well. Unlike the average marauder, who might not have ever held a firearm in his life, who has to now use a firearm to attack people. The anti-prepper preps regularly to attack people, which is why I view them as a pretty big threat, because these people actually have it in their mentality that's what they're going to do. Another thing is that you can tell they have an organized plan. So it's not just that they're just going to go all randomly attacking people. They're actually out gathering intel, out looking and scouting out places to attack after the moment the SHTF scenario happens. Like I said earlier, I mentioned hospitals. There are a lot of other places that these people can be planning to attack. They could be planning to attack construction companies for radios and equipment. They could be planning to attack, for example, smaller range, like your DNR offices and stuff like that. They have a lot of radio equipment there. They have a lot of maps of the areas. They could be planning to attack industrial places like factories and things like that that don't have such a high amount of security to get at the medical supplies and at the other supplies inside of those places. And they'll actually attack people to get those supplies. So that's why I think that the anti-prepper is a big threat. One of the biggest examples of it is the Marauders episode of Doomsday Preppers Season 3, Episode 7, where you saw a pretty large-sized group of people actually planning and preparing for a SHTF scenario, but their plan was to go out and attack and assault people, even to the point where they were actually practicing attacking people in their homes in their sleep. So right there, you already have a lot of things. And these people don't just practice small unit tactics, they also practice siege warfare, because not a lot of preppers have a multi-bracketed and multifunctional community to where they have multiple different people in their community, serve multiple different roles. Some of them are just small family clan units that don't have a lot of firearms training, and if they do, it's your basic marksmanship training and stuff like that. You don't see a lot of preppers getting out and practicing small unit tactics, practicing firing and attacking and breaking contact and things like that. Even if it's on a very, very basic level, you also don't see them all going out and getting professional training. You see them maybe getting a concealed carry permit and pretty much practicing maybe some stuff they've seen on YouTube or something like that, or some training DVDs, but you don't see them actively going out and trying to better themselves, which I think a lot of preppers need to do. That's what I've been striving to do myself, to try to increase my professional level in my firearms proficiency and coordination, and also trying to learn that small unit tactics. That's why I'm planning to take a couple of different small unit tactics classes myself next year. So that's what I just mean by one thing that, and those are things that even the anti-preppers are doing and preparing for. They might not tell somebody, and they might have a completely clean record, but they're secretly, that's what their plan is. That's why I view them as being a major threat in an SHTF scenario. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to it's only a couple of points because we already know a lot about preppers, at being preppers ourselves, but the anti-prepper just is to the point where they're not self-reliant and they're planning to attack other people to get those supplies that they need rather than preparing those supplies themselves. So I really want to hear your guys' opinion on that, and if you think anti-preppers are a large enough threat to really consider and prepare for en masse. I know that a lot of us prepare for the pretty much the unwashed masses to attack, if you will, in a very bad WROL or SHTF scenario, but for the most part we mainly get to deal with natural disasters and things like that. But you never know, things could go down. Take a look at what's happening to the farmers down there in South Africa, for example, and take a look at just the way that the political climate is here in the U.S. So you never know when something might go south. So remember, prepare for today, survive tomorrow.